This is the official EFL Podcast.
Hello and welcome again to another edition of the preview show. And with the festive season upon us, we've got a real treat for you today with today's pundits. They are Leyton Orient captain Jobi McAnuff, former Birmingham and Cardiff centre-back Roger Johnson, and Colchester United player coach Jamal Campbell Ryce also joins us. First, I just want to get your reaction to the midweek Carabao Cup action, Jobi. I know both Oxford and Colchester went out to the Manchester clubs, but both did League One and League Two proud.
Yeah, most definitely. They've both done incredibly well to get to this stage, and two real tough teams to play against, obviously in Man City and Man United. But I think Oxford in particular really acquitted themselves well, to take Man City on very much at their game, and really give them some problems. If you look at the shots on target to match Man City, I don't think many people would have given them that much of a hope going into the game. And I know Carl Robinson was actually a little bit disappointed after. And sometimes against those big boys, that little bit of quality and that taking your chances can be the difference. And that was certainly the case, for Man City against Oxford. Colchester again, some of the results they've had, obviously beating Spurs to get through. Slightly different story. It was always going to be tough, particularly, at Man United. But I think it showed in the team that Solskjaer picked, how serious he was about it. And again, to get this far is a huge credit to them and, in the Football League in general, for a League Two club to get to play Man United is, a big achievement in itself, really.
Just to step in there on you, Jobs, I went to the game on Wednesday, and when you saw the team sheet, like you just said there, you knew United meant business with the players that they put out. Everyone probably thought that they were going to go with a lot less stronger squad.
Yeah.
But they actually really went for it. You look at them playing Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire. You got obviously Rashford and Martial up top, and they was a problem. It was tough for us. It was really tough, but it was always going to be tough going to Old Trafford. But definitely, like what you said earlier on, Jobs, definitely gave a great account of themselves and done extremely well getting there in the first place.
Yeah, certainly doing League One and League Two proud. Roger, now the tie, though, of the next round of the semi-finals has to be that Manchester derby, though. How important could this competition be for both managers based on, the pressure that they're both under?
Well, you just said it there, the pressure they're under. I'd say that they will take it very seriously. Clearly, the league is out of everyone's grasp. I can't see anybody catching Liverpool the way they're playing at the moment. So the league's done. Clearly, Pep wants that Champions League, and they've gone and got a tough draw against Madrid. So to have a season and not win anything, managers' jobs kind of get talked about then. So I'd say the pair of them, certainly Solskjaer, because they'll probably do well to get in the top four themselves. So it's kind of the only thing they're playing for. I know the FA Cup comes early Jan, but this one, I'd say that they're going to take it very, very seriously. And just like the boys said there, that the side the Solskjaer put out midweek, he's clearly showing his hand. He wants to go on and win this. I'll be intrigued to see Pep's starting lineup. Based on what I think, I'd like to think he'll go strong, but obviously there's so many fixtures coming up, and obviously they're still in the Champions League. So, but I'll be intrigued to see his selection, because like I've said, like you've said there, the pressure builds when you're not winning things.
And Jamal, obviously Leicester taking on Villa in the other semi-final. A great chance for these two as well, to get to a major final.
Yeah, 100%. But cool, if you look at the season that Leicester are having right now, I don't think anybody would have called it. It's almost like the season that they were having when they obviously won the league under Ranieri. People was like, oh, they'll blow up. And it's the same again this season. I know, like Roger just said there, Liverpool probably running away with it, but even still, Leicester to be still going toe-to-toe with Man City that's some feat in itself. And I think he's trying to get that legendary status like Ranieri got after winning the league. And I think if they can continue their league form and get to a final, I think people will be saying that he's right up there. And that's for Villa, obviously just coming up as well. They've done extremely well their first season in the back in the Prem, I should say, and then now getting to a cup semi-final. So they're both having fantastic seasons.
Well, certainly all set up to be a fantastic final. Well, let's switch to the preview now and the battle at the bottom of the Sky Bet Championship between Middlesbrough and Stoke tonight, Jobi. Is this already a relegation six-pointer?
Oh, it's obviously, we say early days, but I mean, we're kind of halfway through the season now, and I'm a big believer at this point, you are where you are for a reason, and, you know, they haven't really showed me that they're going to really put a big run together, either those two teams, to really pull clear. They've been a little bit inconsistent. Middlesbrough have looked like they maybe have turned the corner a little bit in recent weeks in terms of a few better results, but certainly nothing consistent. And Stoke similar, really. So, you know, again, we've spoken about it previously about, you know, playing teams in and around you, whether it's, you know, promotion battles or relegation battles. And certainly you don't want to lose ground. You know, if I'm looking at Stoke, 3 points below Middlesbrough, if they were to lose, then that becomes 6, which is then that little bit more of a jump up, you know, to try and catch them. So they at the very, very least want to keep them, you know, one win away. And, you know, at the same time for Middlesbrough, they don't want to get dragged back down into it. So, you know, I'm sure neither team will want to lose. Middlesbrough have won their last 2 games at home, so I'm sure they're going into it, you know, fairly confident. But yeah, real big game at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, Roger, how important is this one for Middlesbrough, though, specifically, not to lose it as well? They'd be dragged right back in it if they did.
Yeah, it's so important. I mean, Jobi mentioned it there. The form of the two of them is so up and down over the sort of last 6 weeks. But Borough can go 6 clear of the bottom, and that's huge going into the Christmas period. And obviously Stoke can level points with Middlesbrough both hitting the 21 mark. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they've won in their last 2. Borough and Stoke are unbeaten in the last 2. So they're horrible games. When you're down there, every game is tough. I've said it over and over on this cast. For the Championship every week, there's no easy wins. It's a graft and a battle and a scrap to get any points. And certainly going into the period of the Christmas, it's so hard. You're going to get send-ins off. You're going to get injuries. I think the schedule for Stoke is probably a little bit harder than Borough's, although they've still got tough teams, both of them. Sheffield Wednesday, Fulham, Huddersfield, Brentford is the schedule for Stoke, and Huddersfield, West Brom, Preston, and then Tottenham in the cup for Borough. So this game is vital because they're both down there, and as Jobi said, and I've mentioned there, that if Middlesbrough can go 6 clear of it, that's massive going into the Christmas period.
Yeah, Jamal, how, you know, Roger mentions obviously the Christmas period there, but how difficult a situation is it for, you know, Jonathan Woodgate in particular? You know, is it a hard time to motivate players when you are in a bad run like Middlesbrough are?
God, I think if you have to motivate your players to get yourself out of trouble, then you've got the wrong group of players for me. They're the ones that obviously found themselves down there, so it's down to them to dig themselves out. And I don't think any player goes into a Saturday or a Tuesday game not wanting to get 3 points at the end of it. So I don't think motivation is the word for it. Yeah, it's tough and all the rest of it when you're down there and all the rest of it, but I think the players are fine motivating themselves. And as for the Christmas period, that's what you want. Going into the Christmas period, getting as many games as possible, because in this league, everyone can beat everyone, you know, and you get a couple of results and you pull yourself away from it, then things start looking up for you.
Yeah, Jobi, what have you made of Stoke, though, and Michael O'Neill's start in the job? You know, there's been a slight upturn in form, of course, but is that just down to the new manager bounce, do you think?
Yeah, I think, you know, we've seen it so many times when a new manager comes in that you get that almost instant impact. You know, I'm sure there'll be lads there that were not playing that have been given an opportunity, and you know, everyone just knows they've got a clean slate. So I think that's why a lot of the times you get that immediate, again, upturn and a positive reaction. Obviously winning the first couple, and then they went on that little run of losing 3 on the bounce, and again, you know, going back to that confidence, it can start going away from you. So I've been impressed. They've got themselves back going. Obviously beat Luton, you know, draw against Reading, and they've got to just put a run together. You know, they've got those teams down there, you need to go unbeaten for 3, 4, 5, 6 games at a time. nick a few points along the way and just try and edge your way clear of that. As Roger's pointed out, we've got a real busy period over Christmas, and you can really give yourself a chance to get out of that zone and look at the new year as a positive one. On the flip side of that, if they don't get that consistency and they win one, lose one, draw one, they will never really pull away. And then once you start getting into January, February, and you're still down there, that's when you really start getting worried, and then the pressures of potential relegation can really hit home. So again, if they can go and build on this 4 points they've got now and turn that into sort of 6, 7 without losing any games, then they give themselves a chance of pulling away.
Yeah, Roger, I know we keep talking about Christmas, obviously, but for Michael O'Neill to adjust to that relentless schedule, he won't be used to it, being an international manager previously, of course.
No, it is difficult, but he's a manager of a top team, big club. He will know through hearing from other managers over the years. He's been around a fair while. He'll know what's coming. Clearly not been in the situation himself, so he's going to have to learn along the way, I'm sure, with it being his first Christmas period. But they're fortunate enough that they've got such a big squad, Stoke. So if they were to pick up a few injuries, they do have that depth in the squad. Clearly, you've got to change from the players you're picking, but that's football, I'm afraid. But speaking, one of my very good pals is a Stoke player, and he said that the manager's been great. The results they lost in, they were still putting in a good shift and a good performance. So, no, I can see them. I can see them creeping out of it in the new year and towards the end of January. But like we said previous, the Christmas period is so big, because it kind of, I've always found over the years, it defines people's seasons, certainly at the top and at the bottom, because there's so many points to play for in such a short space of time.
Yeah, Jamal, from what we've seen from Stoke's results as well, they tend to beat the teams around them under Michael O'Neill so far. He's got wins against Barnsley, Wigan and Luton. How important will that be for them as well, if they are going to stay up, taking those points from teams that are in and around that relegation battle?
I think they're the ones that you look at, the teams that are in and around you. You go in and you look at the teams, you look at the fixtures, and you think, right, if we can nick points from these teams that are in and around us and push them further away from us, then brilliant. And then you just hope to pick up a point or a win here and there against obviously the teams that are above you and the so-called better teams. But 100% to be pushing them teams further down and yourselves further up against those teams that are in and around you, I think it's massive.
Well, yeah, could be tough times ahead for the team that lose that one, though. Now to Saturday and the early kick-off in the Championship sees Cardiff take on Preston. A fantastic point for your former side at Ellen Road last weekend, Jobi. 3 goals in the last half an hour. What's it like as a squad to be involved in a comeback like that?
Well, I mean, the overriding feeling is probably relief. I think, when you're 3-0 down at any time, it's not a nice place to be on a football pitch. And I think particularly against a team, as strong as Leeds, where you never think they'd obviously give that lead up. But, to come back, particularly so late, I've been a part of, you probably count on one hand, really, the amount of times you've come back from 3-0 down and got something out of the game. So I think, that changing room would have been bouncing after the match. And, it would certainly feel like a win for them, which was important, off the back of, losing to Brentford. Again, it's just about getting something from games sometimes. And, I'm sure they would have come out of that with, their heads so high. They could easily have gone under, but they've really responded well and shown some fantastic character, to come back. And, again, I think that's something they can really use to help kick them on now.
Yeah, Roger, your former side as well, of course. What does that Leeds result say about the spirit of this Neil Harris team? They also got a point after being 2-0 down at half-time at Charlton as well, of course.
Yeah, I'd say the spirit's very good. He seems that sort of guy. He gets the players backing him. He was certainly like that at Millwall. Horrible side to play against, and I'm sure all the players on the pitch and bench and squad are backing him. It's tough going in there as a new manager, and I feel as though they've responded well and like you said there, the results coming back from 3-0 down, it's unheard of. It's like Job said, it's very rare that happens.
Especially at Ellen Road.
Yeah, exactly. So that's quality, really. That you to come back from that, like Joby said again, it feels like a win. So yeah, and then obviously the Charlton one as well coming back. It just shows that they're not going to give up, which is key. He certainly installed that at Millwall. Like I said, horrible side to play against, and he's probably going to do the same there.
Jamal only 3 points off the playoffs now as well at Cardiff, and are they, one of the teams to be wary of now in that promotion hunt?
Yeah, 100%. I think going into the Christmas period, halfway through the season, I think you find yourself 3 points off the playoff spots. I think you're sitting nicely. Get a win or two over the Christmas period and you're right in and amongst it. And I think he'll be absolutely buzzing with that. Then after the Christmas period, you can look to kick on. But since he's come in, he's done a fantastic job. And since Roger said, getting that team camaraderie and all the rest of it, and the boys seem to have brought right into it. So for them now, from now on, it's about really kicking on and really trying to get in and amongst them playoffs places.
But just quickly on that one, his following game after this is Millwall. So it won a good result, good performance against Preston going into that Millwall game, I'm sure.
Yeah, have a lot to prove going into that one, of course. Joby, focusing on Preston now, though. Injuries look to be getting the better of them a few weeks ago. But how impressed have you been with the way in which they've bounced back, from those setbacks?
Yeah, very impressed. I think there were a few question marks, around Preston North End, whether they can sustain the, real good start they had to the season when they went through that run of 4 defeats on the bounce. I think, there have been question marks over the squad, the size of it, the strength. And I think over the course of a long season, that can really dictate where you finish up. So, again, to come out of that difficult period and record back-to-back wins will be something that Alex Neil will be absolutely over the moon with. He's put them right back up into, real strong position in the league. And again, I think they're one of those teams that over this Christmas period can really try and cement their place in that top 6. Again, I think they're still very much one of the dark horses, still doing a lot of their work sort of under the radar, so to speak. And there's some big clubs trying to get in that top 6. But, at the moment, they look like they're in, a prime position, and I'm sure they want to carry that on.
Yeah, Roger, back up to 3rd in the table now as well. Can they be one of the teams that can maybe challenge for an automatic spot, maybe? Or are West Brom and Leeds too far clear now?
I'll be honest, I don't think they stand a chance at all. Maybe I'm being a bit pessimistic. I just can't see it. Certainly with the way West Brom and Leeds are 10 points clear of 3rd. Leeds are 10 points clear from 3rd, and West Brom are 12. So it's a tough ask. I mean, stranger things have happened in football. It's one of them that for me personally, if I was going to bet on it, I would say not.
Yeah, Jamal, the away form for Preston hasn't been the best either, has it? And Cardiff, obviously, a difficult place to go. Is it more about them avoiding defeat in this one, do you think? Stopping Cardiff maybe getting the points? Yeah,
100%. I think when your home form's so good, and then it's all about if you can nick points here and there away from home, then it all tallies up at the end of the season, But I definitely think 100% is going to places like Cardiff, which is a hostile place and a difficult place to go, where we know, obviously under Warnock and now under Neil Harris, that they're going to be massive on set pieces and stuff like that. Is if you can stay in the game, not concede set pieces, and not concede goals and staying in the game and maybe coming away with a draw or maybe nicking a win, then you're absolutely buzzing.
Well, Preston are actually the best team in the Championship for scoring from set pieces, so they also look to be a threat. Moving on to another huge clash on Saturday at Craven Cottage is the match between Fulham and Leeds. Joby, I don't want to jinx it, but is this one of the most attractive games of the season based on how these two sides set up?
Oh, yeah, you'd have to say so. I think when you look at how open the teams are, there's a huge emphasis on, obviously, possession and attacking play. And I watched Fulham a couple of weeks ago against QPR, and they were very, very open. And I mean, with the ball and without the ball. So, I think it's going to be a game that everyone is looking forward to. I'll be honest, I think it will come down to, who's going to be better defensively. Both teams have got some fantastic attacking options and, some real dangerous players. And for me, Leeds have just been that bit more, a lot more solid, the best defensive record in the league and just a lot more capable of keeping clean sheets and being solid. So, I'd certainly fancy them, despite obviously the recent draw with Cardiff that we spoke about. They're in fantastic form, coming off the back of winning 7 games in a row, unbeaten in 10 or 11 or whatever. So I'd fancy Leeds for this one, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, Roger, and I probably know the answer to this one based on your last answer about Preston. But is this a must-win for Fulham if they are going to challenge for the top 2?
Yeah, I mean, you guessed it. Yeah, I mean, they've got no chance, absolutely no chance. They're 12 points off it, and like I said, the form of the sides above them it's a too big a ask for me. They're very up and down, and like Jobi said, they're very open, and they're successful to getting beat. The league is ridiculously hard, and any side can go there. And if Fulham play how they have been in certain games, they'll just get found out. So no, for me, the top 2 is too big a ask.
Jamal, you said a few weeks ago actually that you still didn't think this Fulham side have actually even clicked together this season. 3 defeats on the bounce since then. I'm guessing you still think that's the case.
Yeah, 100%. They're a strange one, really, because on paper you'd look at them and think that they could go to any side and open them up, But they've actually really struggled with consistency and, like I said, don't think Scotty's found his team, that his go-to team that he can go to and trust and think, yep, they're going to get me the 3 points on a Saturday. Every time I look at the team sheet, he's tweaked a player here and there, maybe because players aren't doing it or there's injuries or whatever, but I still don't think they've clicked. And with the players they got, like I said, I think they should be doing a lot better.
Yeah, Jobi, looking at the Leeds team though, do you think they've lost a bit of momentum after that Cardiff result? Still in great form, of course, you can't deny that, but the manner of the draw must have hurt them.
It would have hurt them, but I would certainly not say it's going to cause any loss of momentum. I mean, again, going back to their run that they're on, it's incredible, really. I think, the way I would look at it, and I'm sure they would be seeing it, is sometimes you need these things just to give you a little bit of a kick. I think things have been going so well. They would have got 3-0 up the other day and just thought it was another game we're going to win. It's almost becoming too easy for them, really. And again, sometimes you need these things just to give you a little prod to make sure you're still on it, and just goes to show if you're not quite at it at any time, you can come unstuck. So, listen, I think everyone would like to be on the run that they're on at the moment. Absolutely relentless, with West Brom up the top. And, like we said before, I just see it being a little blip and expect them to get back to winning ways and again, carrying on the fantastic run they're on.
Yeah, Roger, we've praised, Leeds' defence and Ben White in particular as well so far this season. But how do you stop a player like Alexander Mitrovic if he's on form?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. I always preferred playing against the big uns just because you get in a scrap and you have a right old battle. And the 2 centre backs for Leeds seem that sort of breed. They'll have the tear out. They can be pretty and find a pass. They can also have the scrap as well. And I'm such a big believer in that. Like the league don't lie. They've conceded 13 goals, so it's going to be tough with a guy that's gone there and scored 16 goals. He's a hell of a player. For me, he should be in the league above, but he clearly likes it at Fulham. But no, I'd say they'll embrace it, the boys at Leeds, and have a good old-fashioned tear-up.
It should be quite a challenge for them. Jamal, how important is it that Leeds maintain, this incredible unbeaten run that we've talked about against a team like Fulham as well? Could really, I mean, they've already probably have shown the promotion credentials, but could really consolidate their position.
Yeah, I think I've spoken on Fulham quite a bit in a couple of these that we've done, but I still think Fulham are a really dangerous side, and Ros just spoke there on Mitrovic, and they've got Knockaert and Carvalho and Kearney. So, Fulham are no mugs by any means, and they've got the players that can really hurt you. So, like you said, if Leeds can keep them quiet, get a result, get a win, then, like you said there, I think they are really showing their title credentials and promotion credentials, and that the rest of the league do have to stand up and take note of them.
Well, Tom Kearney, actually a player which Leeds' academy let go, so he'll have a point to prove on Saturday, I'm sure. Now to our feature game in Sky Bet League One, and what a showdown this is set to be as well, with Oxford taking on Wickham. Jobi, despite the result against Man City, will Oxford be quite buoyant after that performance coming into this one?
Yeah, I think they would have taken a lot of positives from the performance. Taking on a team as big as Man City and performing as well as they did. What I will say is this is chalk and cheese, really, a completely different kettle of fish, really. I think we all know what Wickham are about, very strong, very organised, on an absolutely incredible run themselves. I think unbeaten in 12. And I think this will be a real tough afternoon. And I think it's important for the players at Oxford not to assume it's going to be another game. They can just go out there and, do their stuff against another team that's going to come and be open. And I wouldn't say easy to play against, but almost let you do what you want to do on the ball. I think Wickham are very, very good at making it difficult for other teams, as well as the qualities they've got. Again, I think it'll be a real tough game for Oxford, and it'll be a completely different contrast to what we saw the other night, I think.
Yeah, we've talked about your former team, Wickham, before, Roger. They're now 7 points clear at the top of that table as well in Sky Bet League One. Is there anyone stopping them now in their promotion hunt?
It's a weird one. There's so much football to play yet. Yeah, there's 7 points clear, which you've got a game in hand. So that gets clawed back if they can win that. But the run they're on, 12 games, like Jobi said, it's an unbelievable record. And certainly for such a... I love Wickham to bits. I started there, but for such a small club to be bossing the league as they are, Ainsworth, he needs a knighted. It's such a good thing to have done for the club.
A lot of big teams behind them as well.
Yeah, it deserves every accolade. There's so many. There's some big names in that league. There's so many big names. But if they just need to keep doing what they're doing, basically, don't change a thing. Be hard to beat. I know the Oxford manager well, Robbo. Who's my Charlton manager. And he'll have them upbeat. Just let them go and play. But as we know, Wickham are very hard to sort of break down. Don't ship a lot of goals. Oxford will have their work cut out. They just need to keep ticking over Wickham and just keep picking up points, draws, wins. Just try and keep. They're going to hit a bit of a wall, I'm sure. Like I said at the start, there's so many games to play yet. I'm sure they'll have a little blip. It's just how long that blip runs for. But if they can keep doing what they're doing, then come the end of the season, they'll be up there.
Yeah, despite that, though, Jamal, Gareth Ainsworth said last week that his side haven't achieved anything yet, but surely behind closed doors, they're getting confident now about their situation.
I think, do you know what? I think he's absolutely right. Obviously, they're flying high at the minute, and they are behind closed doors going to be quietly confident. But I think you can't be too high at this stage of the season. Yep, they're top of the league and they're flying and they're enjoying their football and they're enjoying what they're doing. They've got a way of playing, like Roger just said, and it's brilliant. But with half of the season to go, still got so many points to play for, and coming up to a massive period of the season, the Christmas period, is going to be tough, back-to-back games. But 100% they're going to be quietly confident. But at the same time, you just got to keep ticking over.
And finally, another cracking tie in Sky Bet League 2 as Forest Green face Swindon. Starting with the visitors, first of all, Jobi, similar question to what I asked Roger about Wickham, but is there any stopping this Swindon team now on their way to promotion? Another win last week, of course.
Yeah, they're absolutely flying. 7 wins on the bounce, which is incredible in a league as difficult as League 2 is. Again, to find that consistency, every game is a challenge and a difficult challenge at that. So, they're on a run that I'm sure they want to keep going. I wouldn't say they're home and dry by any stretch of the imagination. You know, Cheltenham, they've got a game in hand. If they win that, you know, they can go 4 points behind. You've still got obviously Crewe chasing, Bradford chasing, Forest Green all on 35 points. So, you know, a lot of work still to be done. For me, it's about having a good run, you know, towards the back end of the season. And, you know, of course, this puts them in a great position, but, you know, I'm sure they won't be taking anything for granted.
Yeah, Roger, 7 wins in a row, though, for Swindon now. What's it like playing in a team that are in form like that, in, you know, winning week in, week out?
I can't say I've ever been at a club that's won 7 on the trot, to be fair. I'm trying to think back when I read the questions, but yeah, I've certainly been in sides. When you hit that form and going, I mean, when I was at Birmingham, we had a really good run, but a lot of draws and a few wins in there, and we were unbeaten for sort of 15 odd. And it is just confidence builds and builds and builds, and you become, like we just said there about Wickham, and you get confident. And if the longer you can keep that run going, the more you climb the league. Yeah, they're set up there already, so they just need to keep doing what they're doing and keep this run going as long as possible. And come the end of it, they'll be sitting top of the pile.
Yeah, Jamal, Forest Green were leading the table themselves not long ago. In a bad run of form now themselves, though, do you think they still have what it takes to mount a promotion challenge?
100%. Listen, these things happen. Like 1 minute you're flying, and next one result can change everything. And it seems like they've had a blip, but that's going to happen. I think with the way that the type of football that they play very expansive. They like to pass the ball and all the rest of it. So sometimes you're going to get caught out with that. And when you play that type of football, teams can open you up. But I think what's good about them is that they keep playing that way. They've got their identity and they won't change it. So I think they'll come good in the end and they'll find themselves back where they belong.
Well, one man they'll certainly have to stop if they're going to get a result this weekend is Owen Doyle. He's tried to score in his 10th consecutive game, so he's on a fantastic run as well. Guys, well, thank you very much for your time this week, and if I don't hear from you, have a great Christmas.
Nice one, Ben.
Have a good one, boys.
The official EFL podcast. The best reaction to all the match action. Available every week.